Judo is the way to the most effective use of both physical and spiritual strength. By training you in attacks and defenses, it refines your body and your soul and helps you make the spiritual essence of Judo a part of your very being. In this way, you're able to perfect yourself and contribute something of value to the world. This is the final goal of Judo discipline. And today I'm going to talk about Jigoro Kano, the author of that sentence and the father of Judo. I'm Vinny and this is Athlete Stuff. And to avoid wasting time, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications and let's go! Shinosuke Kano, as he was called in his childhood before having his name changed to Jigoro, was born on October 28th of 1860 in the city of Mikage, Japan, and belonged to an influential family of Kiku Masamune sake producers. However, as his father Jirosaku Kano had only married Sadako Kano, who was in fact part of the family, he did not enter the sake business. His father became an official of the Tokugawa shogunate, which was a military dictatorship established by Ieyasu Tokugawa in 1603, which meant that he had a certain amount of monetary power. And this, together with his enlightenment on the importance of knowledge, meant that Jigoro had an excellent education. At the age of 7, the boy was already studying English, Japanese calligraphy and the 4 books of Confucianism, which are classic Chinese texts that serve as an introduction to Confucian philosophy. After the death of his wife, Jirosaku decided to move with his family to Tokyo, and it was at this point that Jigoro Kano's life began to change. When he arrived in the city at the age of 14, his father enrolled him at Hikuei Gijuku, a private school that taught entirely in English, which meant that he needed private lessons in the language in order to adapt better. The boy was short and skinny, making him an easy target for the school bullies. Tired of this situation, Jigoro decided that he wanted to get stronger and heard from a friend of his father that Jujutsu, as Jiu-Jitsu was called at the time, was a good way to achieve his goal. The only problem was his father's insistence on not allowing him to invest his time in the martial art, because even though he knew about the problems his son was suffering, Jirosaku didn't believe it would be useful for his future. By the time Jigoro entered Kaisei Academy, a secondary school, the bullying he had suffered was behind him, but he was still interested in Jujutsu. This situation made Jirosaku realize that his son didn't want something silly like revenge, but that he had a true fascination for the martial art. Faced with these circumstances, he allowed his son to learn Jujutsu, but set a simple condition: Jigoro had to dedicate himself to mastering it. After receiving his father's approval, Jigoro tried to find a teacher, but ran into problems as the martial arts seemed to be being scrapped in a Japan that was becoming increasingly westernized after the end of the shogunate. Many of the masters became disillusioned with the martial art and believed it to be obsolete, so they refused to pass it forward. After enrolling in Tokyo Imperial University in 1877, Kano finally found his place under Master Fukuda Hashinosuke, who had a small Jujutsu academy where he taught just 5 students. Fukuda's teaching method was peculiar, to say the least. He would only give a description of the technique and then start the free practice, known as Handori, making the students interpret it from scratch. Only when the student was able to execute the described movement well would Fukuda teach him the traditional form, called kata. Kano continued to perfect his Jujutsu without realizing he was already adapting it to something new by implementing sumo and wrestling techniques into it, even taking part in a presentation for former US President Ulysses S. Grant in 1879. Unfortunately, Master Fukuda died shortly after the presentation, and this meant that Jigoro, his best pupil, receives the scrolls of techniques from the academy. With these circumstances, Kano decided to continue his Jujutsu studies at the school of Isso Masatomo, a friend of his late teacher, where he began to improve and teach his combat methods. With Isso's death in 1881, Kano continued his journey and began teaching at Ikubo Tsunetoshi's dojo, but he didn't stay long. Realizing that he was already in an excellent level in the martial art, Jigoro Kano founded his own dojo in the Eishoji Buddhist temple in February 1882. But it still took him 2 years before he could officially teach, as he still didn't have the Kitoryu Master's certificate. Kitoryu is a type of Jujutsu focused on Nagewaza, which are throwing techniques that Kano considers to be the most effective part of the martial art. When he acquired his certificate, Jigoro named his dojo Kodokan and ended up creating a big dilemma in his head. Kano thought that even though he had officially become a master and honored the condition proposed by his father, the way he saw the martial art was quite different from what was seen at the time. Jujutsu was a complex but common martial art, considered to be self-defense, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Jigoro's ambition went beyond a simple fight. Kano believes that a fighter's methods of thinking and acting should go beyond the mat, seeking to create his own teaching methods and develop a martial way. To make this happen, the Jujutsu master began to mix the martial art with Confucianism and was convinced that this combination could create a path of self-improvement that would bring benefits to society as a whole. However, there was just one problem with his plan: the bad reputation of Jujutsu. As I said earlier, this art was becoming more and more degraded with the passage of time, and Kano needed to find a way to disconnect his teachings from Jujutsu so that he could have a chance of turning his idea into reality. Bearing in mind that what he planned to do was beyond the very meaning of the word Jujutsu, which means gentle art, he decided to name the new martial art Judo, which translates as gentle way. This change led to the Kodokan Dojo becoming the first judo school in history and, consequently, to Kano becoming the first master of the new martial art. The first two students of this school were Tomita Tsunejiro and Shiro Saigo, both of whom were also the first students of any martial art to receive the rank of Shodan, which is basically the lowest level of the black belt. The Kodokan Dojo was a great success, so much that it had to be relocated several times during Kano's lifetime, as the popularity of the new sport kept growing. It got to the point where Kano became a member of the International Olympic Committee in 1909, 55 years before Judo made its Olympic debut. After finishing his duties on the committee in 1912, Kano dedicated himself to helping set up the Dai Nippon Taikyu Kyodai, the Japan Amateur Athletic Association, which was responsible for looking after amateur sports in the country. Even with the fame and influence that Jigoro Kano had built up internationally, he said several times that he wasn't focused on turning judo into an Olympic sport, as he feared that the nationalism of the Olympic Games would turn it into something made only for competition and abandon its philosophical meaning. In 1934, Kano stopped doing his usual judo exhibitions due to health problems, and on May 3rd of 1938, he died at the age of 77 in international waters while traveling as a member of the International Olympic Committee. To this day, the cause of death is a mystery, because although the official report is pneumonia, many claim that he was poisoned by his country's military because of his stance against Japanese militarism, something that unfortunately happened a lot during the years before World War II. Well, this will always be debated and questioned, but the only certainty we have is that Jigoro Kano was indeed responsible for creating, polishing, and spreading one of the world's most popular martial arts. The path paved by Kano should never be forgotten, and fortunately for him, the philosophical flame lit in that small temple over 140 years ago continues to burn brightly in the face of the world's mighty winds and storms. And now that you know the story of the father of Judo, how about sharing this video with your friends so they can get to know it too? In fact, please share your thoughts with me in the comments, leave a like, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to follow the upcoming videos. That's it everyone, see you next time!